Hello and welcome to this telecoms.com webinar, sponsored by the Broadband Forum. I'm James Middleton, Managing Editor of telecoms.com, and I'm going to be joined today by Jason Walls, Director of Technical Marketing for QA Cafe, and Lincoln Lavoie, Senior Engineer for the University of New Hampshire's Interoperability Laboratory. According to the latest statistics published by the Broadband Forum and industry analysts, Point Topic, broadband subscriptions globally have soared to over 624 million, presenting a huge opportunity for the connected home. And with 15 million new IPTV subscribers added over the past year, it's become clear that multiplay is gaining momentum. It is at this time of stellar growth that the Broadband Forum launched its BBF069 CPE certification program and announced the first such certified devices. The BBF069 certification program has been designed to verify if devices are TR069 or CPE WAN management protocol compliant and therefore able to comply with the remote management standard used for connected home around the world. According to a report from Ovum, TR069 is already used to manage more than 147 million devices worldwide, making it the global standard for remote management. But you can see there is still plenty of scope for growth. For instance, IPTV services have brought 69 million new set-top boxes into the connected home, and TR069 provides the platform for managing these devices. Moreover, with high-speed broadband adoption rates on the rise, customers are layering on services and applications that enrich their lives. With the introduction of the BBF069 CPE certification, the challenge of interoperability is set to become a thing of the past. The BBF069 certification is an industry first and sends a clear and simple message to the industry, confirming that the customer premise equipment vendors meet operator and service provider requirements. Certification has substantial advantages for all participants in the value chain, offering service providers an enhanced level of confidence that certified customer premise devices will interoperate better with their remote management auto-configuration servers. It also helps equipment and system vendors reduce testing overheads and enables them to easily market their products, increasing the ability to address a much larger market overall. I'm going to hand over to Jason and Lincoln in just a moment to deliver their presentation, but they will also be on hand afterwards to answer any of your questions. You can ask a question just by typing it in to the text box on the main page of this webinar, and they will respond in real time afterwards. Our speakers will help you learn how certification helps you verify and promote best-in-class quality for your CPE products and broadband services, as well as hearing how the certification process works and what it takes to earn the BBF069 logo and get your product listed as BBF069 certified. Viewers of the webinar will also gain insight onto who is already taking advantage of the 069 certification, including CPE vendors and service providers alike.
Thank you, James, and welcome to today's webinar, Driving the Pain Out of Connected Home Management, a focus on the Broadband Forum BBF.69 CPE certification program. Today we'll be showing you what the program is all about, how you can apply for certification, and how you can use the certification process to get the most out of your CPE and expand your broadband service offerings. A little bit about your hosts today. My name is Jason Walls, Director of Technical Marketing at QA Cafe. QA Cafe designs testing software for broadband CPE, and our CD Router platform is the official test tool of the program. I'm also the co-chair of the Broadband Home Working Group at the Broadband Forum, which is the standards group that designed TR69 and updates and maintains TR69 and all its related materials.
Thank you, Jason, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Lincoln Lavoie, and I have been participating with the Broadband Forum since 2003. I have also been a working group chair since 2007. The University of New Hampshire Interoperability Laboratory is an independent testing lab with over 25 years of experience in testing networking technologies. We've partnered with the Broadband Forum to help develop the industry's first certification program and are the approved testing lab for the BBF69 CPE certification program.
So what is the BBF.69 certification program and who is it for? It's no secret that TR69 has become the protocol of choice for managing broadband CPE both in the home and in the enterprise. and now nearly 150 million deployed devices are managed with TR69. To get to that level, a lot of interoperability work was done, both through Broadband Forum plugfests and by individual service providers and vendors in their own labs. But as TR69 has expanded, service providers are looking for more confidence in the CPE they deploy, both to reduce costs and reduce the amount of integration time. This is especially important as TR69 expands into more and more devices in the managed digital home. To accomplish that, the BBF.69 program was created to ensure that CPE devices correctly implement the TR69 protocol. This is done by testing devices before they go through the deployment integration process and making sure that they adhere to the normative requirements outlined in TR69, verifying features such as protocol conversations, remote procedure calls, and correct operation of lower layer protocols. The program itself is targeted at both manufacturers of broadband CPE and providers of broadband services. That is, both vendors and service providers can use the program. Service providers can use the program by specifying it as a requirement in their RFPs, including the options and versions of TR69 that they will require based on their TR69 deployment. Vendors can use the program to prove that their devices will meet a baseline level of conformance and be much more likely to be interoperable with service provider needs. The program itself is developed and maintained by the Broadband Forum and is open to Broadband Forum member companies. This link will take you to the list of currently certified devices, which we'll go over later in the presentation.
Thank you, Jason. The program has a number of advantages for network operators, service providers, and CPE vendors. Certified products are significantly more interoperable with existing ACS deployments. This reduces the amount of time required by service providers to pre-qualify CPE devices for their deployments, while also reducing the amount of support required from the CPE vendor to the service provider. These reductions help lower costs for both the service provider and CPE vendor. We've already seen these impacts in our lab testing with our ACS partners at the UNH Interoperability Lab. With increased interoperability, service providers and vendors can both be more confident in the new services or devices deployed into the field. This will also lower the amount of physical support required for the subscriber, preventing unnecessary support calls or truck rolls. Testing of new firmware revisions prior to deployment will also improve these cases as well. The certification testing ensures CPE correctly implements the TR69 protocols developed by the Broadband Forum and eliminates common implementation problems before these devices even reach the deployment. Some common problems we've already seen corrected within the program are issues implementing the security protocols such as TLS and SSL, session redirection to new ACS servers, session initiation, and device bootstrap. All of these TR69 functions are critical to the successful deployment and operation of a TR69 protocol in the broadband network.
So, what does certification mean and what kinds of devices can get certified? It's applicable to any device that implements the TR69 protocol. The protocol is independent of device type and includes gateways, routers, voice devices, set-top boxes, etc., and it's WAN connection independent. So it includes TR69 verification of DSL, DOCSIS, cable, Ethernet, LTE, or GPON devices. It's also data model independent. The data models that your devices implement are given as part of the testing process. The certification is focused on protocol functionality, the operation of the CDMP protocol itself, and so it can apply to gateways or routers that implement TR98 or TR181, set-top boxes that implement TR135, network-attached storage that implement TR140, or voice devices that implement TR104. As new data models and devices emerge that are managed via TR69, the certification program can be immediately used as a verification tool for any device in the home or business network. There are both mandatory and conditional tests in the test plan. A vendor specifies what optional features and RPCs their device supports when they seek certification. Any of the conditional tests that are supported are then required as part of a certification, but the features supported are then listed with the device certification, as well as the version of Tier 69 that the device supports. In addition, the certification is specific to a particular make, model, and firmware version of a device, which is also made clear in the certification listing. The result is a specific and informative certification listing that lets providers match up their requirements clearly and easily. I want to take a minute to go to the Broadband Forum website that lists the current certified devices. Here's the list of certified devices on the Broadband Forum website. In addition to company name and device type, you'll see the model number and firmware version that was tested. You'll also see listed which Tier 69 amendment was supported. You'll also see what optional features were tested.
Thank you, Jason. Now that we've examined the makeup of the BBF069 certification program, let's take a look at how the device listings can be used in a CPE selection process. As we've just seen, all of the currently certified devices are listed on the Broadband Forum's public website. This list will be continuously maintained by the Broadband Forum with new devices added as certification is achieved, and can be used by your purchasing departments while reviewing RFP responses. While reviewing those responses, the manufacturer and model of the new product must match the listing on the website. This ensures the CPE product has been tested as part of the certification program. It is also possible to directly include the certification program as a requirement within your RFP process as well. Next, examine the firmware version of the listing as compared with the version provided by your vendor. This information may not be part of the original response submitted by the vendor, in which case request the intended version for the CPE product. The version of the CPE equipment in your deployment may differ slightly from the certified version, which enables the vendor to brand the CPE for your deployment. Things such as including the service provider logo in the GUI or hard-coding the ACS URL can cause these differences. We recommend the version be as close as possible, such as matching major and minor revision numbers of the firmware. Lastly, examine the optional features listed in the certification. These features should match the requirements of deployment. This is potentially the most critical part of the selection process. For example, if security is being used in your deployment, select certified devices listing SSL and TLS ensures the feature was tested as part of the certification process and will operate as expected in the deployment. Next, let's discuss the certification process itself. All certified devices must be tested by a lab approved by the Broadband Forum. This maintains the integrity of the program through repeatability and high-quality testing. The approved test labs are required to maintain accreditations specific to these testing programs as part of their quality control processes. The University of New Hampshire Interoperability Lab is currently the only approved testing lab for the Broadband Forum 69 certification program. The laboratory is based in the United States and regularly works with vendors from around the world. The link on this slide will direct you to the BBF069 specific testing services offered by the lab. This shows the general certification process. A vendor makes a decision to apply for certification on one or more of their products. They can use test tools, such as the QA Cafe CD router, to internally pre-test their products before submitting them for final testing. The CD router tools use the same test scripts developed by the Interoperability Lab for this program and are continuously maintained. When the vendor submits the CPE for testing, the lab will work with them to ensure all the required technical documentation and other materials are also available and submitted to the lab. The technical documentation will provide details on the CPE device, such as its supported optional features and the data model parameters that will be used for testing. Once all the technical documentation is finalized, the lab will begin testing and produce a detailed report for the results. The vendor can use the report to correct any failures or bugs uncovered during the testing. Once all the required test cases are passing, the lab will work with the vendor to submit the CPE results to the Broadband Forum to update the list of certified devices. The vendor may also use the certification logo on their certified product or documentation for that product.
A lot of certification programs offer self-testing options, so we wanted to explain how this works in the BBF.69 program. First, let's talk about the test plans. The detailed test plan is available to member companies of the Broadband Forum as document IR69. That's Internal Report 69. It contains over 115 test cases and is the official test plan used by the UNH-IOL. IR69 can be used in your own labs to verify that devices pass or will pass the certification tests were they to be officially tested at the approved laboratory. An abstract version of the test plan is also available to non-members who want to see what is involved in the testing. Each test case is listed with its name and purpose, though the procedures and test metrics have been removed. The test scripts themselves are available on the QA Cafe CD Router platform. This is the same tool and the exact same scripts used by UNH-IOL when they perform the certification tests. You can use these scripts to perform pre-testing prior to seeking certification, or to use while you are going through the certification process and fixing any problems that might arise. Since certification is firmware specific, pre-testing is highly recommended from one revision to the next. Regardless, official testing must be run by the approved lab, the UNH-IOL, to apply for the BBF.69 certification. An official report from the approved lab is the only thing that can be submitted to the Broadband Forum for approval. Here are some quotes from companies who were directly involved in the creation of the certification. The first is from CenturyLink. The certification program is a great step forward in helping service providers like us roll out new products and services, knowing that they will be certified and easily provisioned. This is an example of how certification helps service providers who plan on deploying Tier 69. The second quote is from Lantique. The BBF.69 program is a step to assure our customers that they have a highly conformant and interoperable Tier 69 stack on which they can build their solutions. Not only did Lantique receive certification, but we wanted to point them out as a chipset vendor who not only need to verify their products for service provider purchases, but also for device vendors who are looking for a chipset solution. So let's summarize. If you want to know more about the certification program and how to go through the process, or you're interested in scheduling testing, please contact the UNH-IOL at info@iol.unh.edu. To see the most updated list of certified devices, visit the Broadband Forum website. You can read about their other certification programs as well in the testing and certification section of their website.